Currently striking Israel is an ongoing blitz. Um, Watching this right now. Complete surprise attack where it looks like Hamas are rushing all 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 kinds of Israeli positions, and I'm seeing soldiers getting rolled up, and it looks like they're rolling into um, they're hitting up civilians. They're just massacring everyone who they come across. I'm seeing IDF soldiers who are taken prisoner, multiple IDF troops alive. I watched it. There's a video with the guy captive on a motorcycle, and this is a currently developing situation. Israel, for their part, I I just have to say right now, we should have no part in their whole war. They've completely turned their back on America. They want nothing to do with the West. They don't help us. They didn't help with the war on terror, which is they got us involved in. They've never helped with Ukraine. They choose to help Russia. If Israel wants to help Russia, then they can call on Iran for help or something. They should not be receiving any American help or sympathies whatsoever. Israel does not care about mm, they. Look at everything that Russia is doing, and Israel is completely fine with it. They're just massacring people, like So now Israel is going crybaby mode already. This is We're under attack. This is a savage attack, and you're seeing people, Americans are, acting like they're horrified and outraged, and Laura Loomer and all these people who could, they don't care if it's Europeans are under attack. They cheer on Russia while they massacre people, and now they act like this sort of thing is wrong. Okay, well, from I was saying, and these Republicans who they act like they're so America first. We'll see. We'll see, won't we? When what it comes to with their Israeli opinions, but the thing, they have been doing so much to screw us for so many years that I mean, I've like I don't really. When this war kicked off, if Israel was on our side, I would have just changed my opinion on them. Like I said, if they came in and started being a real American ally, I would have just said, wow, all right, go figure. But it has not gone like that. Israel is allied with Russia and have been hampering our own efforts to help the Ukrainian people. There's children under attack. People getting their house blown up by rockets. Russians are raping even infants to death, and Israelis are completely fine with it, and they sympathize with Russia, and they even have a propaganda partnership, and so we'll see where that puts them in terms of this is a Hamas attack. Um, you're you're gonna see different anti-Zionist people claiming this, but personally, I think that if I think that it seems that Hamas has finally come into their own. This is so far a pretty effective attack where they're rolling up. I'm seeing just it looks like they're really rolling up a lot of IDF positions. I don't know exactly how broad the scale of it is, but I'd imagine they're just gonna keep going. Um, and it looks like the rockets are not so much the most effective thing. As usual, I've always thought the Hamas rockets are kind of a joke, but what they're doing more is just sending guys in, just small teams, either on foot or in trucks, and they're just rolling into residential neighborhoods and just taking out everybody who they can, including civilians, the elderly, and they're just wiping out Israeli, even like families at bus stops and things like that. And these are very, it's a very, what I'm seeing is a very brutal strike, and it's almost more like it looks almost like an ISIS kind of thing, and that ISIS figured that they could do better a lot of times just hitting up softer targets. You know. If Hamas were gonna just I mean they're not rolling right into the IDF. I don't even really see a lot of IDF response. I mean it looks like Hamas have somehow infiltrated, um, and it I guess it just shows the complacency that the Israelis were operating on. But so I'd venture to guess that this isn't like Iran's finally turned you know they're not figuring they're gonna do a big push or something. They'd probably rather shut it down. Um, because all these other people are completely worthless. Iran has never really fought Israel, and like Assad, Israel's been completely cool with Assad and cooperates with Assad. And as much as people try to flex these anti-Zionist credentials, that they're not really there. Um, for my part, I don't necessarily I don't really have that much of a dog in the fight. I'm not dedicated to Israel going down or something. I could just like if Israel's our friend, it's our friend. But Israel is not our friend. You know, I'm not saying like Hamas isn't necessarily friendly to us either. I'm sure Hamas is completely hostile to America, just like every other Islamic group. But you can see why what they're doing with these tactics because Hamas has been in a hopeless situation against Israel and who have a massive military might, which we're gonna see shortly. Is there'll be this isn't you know who knows unless the Israels just decide to negotiate. You know, because they're so into negotiating. You know, maybe they'll just cede territory to Hamas instead of you know more war, more of a bloodbath. You know, they want people to negotiate so much. Maybe they can give up some land and they can negotiate. They can negotiate with Hamas. You know, I don't think we should keep giving a rip about Israel at all. And if they're Hamas is not our friend, but Israel is not our friend either. And at least Hamas isn't backstabbing us and doing any kind of duplicitous maneuvers um, where they're actually gaining from us while betraying us. So this could get broader. Some people are talking about if the Hez is gonna join, if Hezbollah will join the fighting. Um, I would speculate no because they are beholden to Iran, and I bet Iran, unless Iran greenlighted Hamas, I personally doubt it. I bet Iran would have told them to just keep sticking to their old dumb rocket tactics. But I would speculate that Hamas has figured they've grown into their own, and they don't need to you know wait for any green lights. Like so Hezbollah I would imagine is not going to jump in. If they do, maybe Israel's gonna retaliate, and they're gonna come probably just bombing the piss out of yeah, you'll maybe see like I said, unless they choose to negotiate. I imagine they're going to retaliate depending on how harsh they go, how hard they push this, and if this continues to spiral out, maybe you'll see some Hezbollah will join. If they do, that will greatly widen the fighting, you know. But I mean, maybe Israel can ask Hezbollah to come in on their side since they want to get so into that that Russian kind of thing. So, um, you know, who knows what these people are thinking? Where the U.S. has backed them with all this stuff, and they figured that even though Russia is you know, the pals with Iran, Israel just figured they'll still be pals with Russia. So we'll see how that works out for them. I know we'll see the Republicans because, like I say, they have no the way that they lie, and these are the most hardcore Zionists of our people. Like we'll see what they come up with. It puts them in a strange spot with all their language about Ukraine. Maybe Hamas figured that out. That now would be the time. I pointed this out last year. It just in a potentiality that maybe Israel will start to really piss off you know because they are stepping on a lot of toes with their attitude. You'll see how arrogant they behave, and now they can reap the reward. Maybe Hamas figured, maybe they noticed that Israel is not coming to the aid of Ukraine, and that maybe no one will come to the aid of Israel. Because that's the thing. It's about an alliance is about mutually supporting, being mutually supportive. And this is why I say we need to continue to honor our commitment. Like that Vivek guy said, America should honor our commitment. Well, America made a commitment with the Budapest Memorandum. But this guy only refers to some other bogus commitment, claiming that the U.S. promised to never expand NATO. That was never a commitment. The commitment is called the Budapest Memorandum. That's our commitment to Ukraine. So the U.S. should keep our commitments. We should be mutually supportive of our allies, and not be some really arrogant nation like Israel. You know, they've completely like who knows, and this whole attack really puts them in a bind. Who's gonna come to their thing, and it's already been a divide where because a lot of American Jewish people support Ukraine, and so uh, except maybe ones who have hardcore Israel Zionist ties, where Israel is telling them to support Russia, and you see some of that. But for the most part, I think the American Jewish not maybe not community, but American Jewish people, like Jewish people in America, American Jews, they there's been a like kind of a growing divide with Israel. And not just with like the communistic radicals or so. Of course, they'll be into like the BDS or whatever. But but also like just normal liberal Jews who normally just support um the state positions. So who's gonna come to Israel's aid now? What'll Matt Gaetz say about this? He's a hardcore Zionist and has been going on about how he's so America first and we shouldn't give a rip about all these other countries. Now they're gonna act like we need to go all in for Israel. Depending on how this goes, if Hamas can continue to drive this thing, but I would imagine they will, because unless the Israelis are completely just want to look like complete wimps, because Hamas are just I'm watching footage and they're just rolling down and they're just massacring people. Like I'm watching footage of this stuff. I mean, they're killing civilians and things like that. So is Israel not gonna do some massive retaliation? This seems like an extremely provocative attack, and one that you wouldn't make if you weren't doing like a total commitment. Unless they figure they've got Israel in such a bind that they just have to immediately negotiate, and then they'll do concessions. I kind of doubt that. In a way, I think that it would be a dishonorable move on Israel's part. Israel needs to fight, but we'll see. And and there's other areas too. Like it just goes to show how you can try to act like you can just run away from all this stuff and not participate in these wars. But they'll find ways of making you. You know. Syria is popping off too, where HTS. You just saw those the Syrian Assad's people have they had like a graduation ceremony of their officers, and it looked like maybe Free Syrian Army or HTS or somebody. They don't know exactly who, but it probably came from Idlib. They put this drone in right into the they got all these officer cadets. They graduate their information. They're officers. I mean that these are military officers, but they right at their graduation ceremony, a drone comes in and just blows them away and kills like 100 people. And the footage is just like complete carnage. So obviously, the Assadists, the ass sadists are they're chimping out hardcore, and they're just raining rockets down on Idlib like you'd expect, like they've all. And so we could see this pop off more. So there's a few things coming together with this, and also on top of that, it looks like if Gates gets his way with the new speaker or whatnot, you're gonna see. You're gonna, they're gonna try to cut aid. Who knows when Ukraine will get more aid? So who knows if Ukraine has been playing nice, and people don't realize this. They've been playing extremely nice and keeping within these strict parameters that America wants them to operate within. Well, they could go very asymmetric, and they can. There's a lot that of capability, especially when you have billions of dollars, which, and then you have an extensive intelligence service with contacts all over. And the Ukrainians can really start some fires all over the world, and they could bring in more weapons. They could even give weapons. Um, I mean, they could give weapons certainly to HTS or the Free Syrian Army, and these are not. That's Al Qaeda. These people have cut ties with Al Qaeda for a long time, and it's only they remain on terror lists only because the State Department it would be politically inexpedient to remove this and so forth with all the chatter about some of this. You can imagine the populist rhetoric if how some of this could go down. But HTS is popping this thing off, and so the Syrians have to respond, and so that war can maybe pop off too. And so Ukraine is in a position where they could start fires where they need to if Russia has allies or Russia has overseas positions like they do in like Africa with like the Wagner group and stuff. Well, then Ukraine can really start fires because otherwise you'd say, well, you need to be nice, or we're not going to keep giving more aid. Well, with no more aid forthcoming, now is where they could say, well, this is what things can look like. This is what maybe I would do if I was Zelensky. I would say this is what maybe things can look like without aid, without if you're not our partner, this is what we have to do. Because that's what people do. And if your country's invaded and you have to defend your homeland, you don't think you'll just go total you'll just use any kind of the most brutal. Look at what Hamas is doing to Israel. Why? It's because Israel has brutalized these people for so long. You I'm not trying to break this down too hard, but I mean that's why that they don't really give a rip about the Geneva Conventions. Because what's it ever benefited them? What's the international community ever done for the Palestinians? Really, it's done some, but they're still in a crummy spot. So you say if everyone turns their back on you, what can you do? You know, you got to fight dirty is what they're gonna figure to do. So people can act horrified about it, but the reason why is because they didn't care before. You didn't care before, so then you know the situation has a way of making you care right now. Um, so I don't know. I'll just say I don't feel the same way about Israel that I do about, say, Assad, where I'll say that I absolutely will say that I hope the Syrian revolution deposes Assad. I don't say have the same kind of you know feelings about Israel necessarily. I mean, I to me, for American, they're a crummy ally. They're not treating their neighbors right. They're arrogant people. We should not help them. Um, I don't necessarily they're not necessarily our enemy, but they've been a very poor friend. And it seems almost, and actually they are kind of siding with our enemy, you know. So certainly it's just all I say is just watch out when people try to act like we should be concerned. And these are going to be the same anti-Ukraine anti-Ukraine people. But I mean, Hamas has really caught these guys in a bind, where they've got Biden as the president, where they've got all the Republicans with all this rhetoric about how you shouldn't really give any military aid to foreign countries. So now what are they going to do? Now they're gonna turn that around because they've always actually felt differently about Israel. But what are they gonna do now? Like now they have to. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll just tell Israel to negotiate. But it's a developing situation. I mean, this really looks like a disaster of sorts for Israel. I'm sure they're gonna come back hard. Yeah. And then what's Iran gonna do? This puts them in a situation where the Muslim world is a world that expects you to have each other's back to some extent, and so with all the bluster that Iran's been speaking, are they just gonna blow all their stuff with Russia? Because Russia, this is a very weak alliance on that the enemy has. This is why you shouldn't overestimate some stuff. Like you look for the weaknesses in these things, and it looks like Hamas have done that. It looks like they've carefully chosen this moment. They've got in and they've conducted this attack with complete surprise. You're seeing them in the residential neighborhoods of uh of the Israelis, and they're just mowing people down at like bus stops. And you say that's savage and that's a war crime, but it's the it. I mean, the IDF is their responsibility to protect their own people. They're the ones who are in charge. They have way more power over the situation than any of the Palestinians do. So don't get it twisted. Like Israel is completely blown this thing, and they're responsible, and so they're reaping the consequences of their extreme arrogance. I'm not taking like I'm not super like this isn't like a Shade and Freud type or like I'm so like I really care more about our situation with Ukraine to because those are our allies and those and Israel has completely screwed it. So like Hamas is not friendly, um, but they're not. Hamas never attacked us either. Hamas doesn't spy on us, and Hamas doesn't. As far as I know, they're not really. I mean, they're probably more sympathetic to Russia in general. I don't know, or maybe they're not. But it seemed like there was some of that. But who knows? Like I say, with war, you keep an open mind. You see what comes next. Maybe the Israelis will negotiate, and maybe they'll see, like they say other people should do. Because Israel, right from the beginning, told Zelensky, you need to negotiate with Putin. Right when the Russians attacked, they're under invasion. These are the never again people. You say, never again, never again. And then when you know, Putin does all the stuff, Israel, it's they don't care. So why should we care? They know the concern, like that this is an American concern in Ukraine. They didn't care. They went with Russia. They kept all their deals. They blocked our weapons transfers, and they signed a propaganda pact to make propaganda, to make films with Russia. You don't make films together with people who you're not going to be ideologically aligned with in certain ways. It's propaganda. That's where you target the hearts and minds. And Israel and Russia have an official partnership with them. Maybe Russia can make some pro-Israel movies or something. Yeah. It's on them. At every turn, these people should just be dealt with their own rhetoric. That they've said that we shouldn't care. We shouldn't care about other. You know, you're a country that doesn't care about other people, so why should we care about you? We should care about our allies, and we should care about things that mutually support. And we should bury the hatchet with, even I'd say, with the Muslim world. We have there's no reason for us to say, well, Hamas is our enemy or something. Like we could say in Ukraine, we'd say, well, we help the Ukrainians, they're our friends, and Russia is our enemy because Russia has been our enemy. You could say, well, they shouldn't be. They have been our enemy. They are our enemy. It's a fact, and it doesn't. You can't just lie about that. It's their own rhetoric. It's how they see the world. Maybe you don't want to be enemies, but it's how it is. So with Hamas, no, no, this is not like Russia. Hamas is a totally different story. Hamas, I mean, not that these are good guys, but these aren't our enemy. They never attacked America. This isn't the same. You could say, oh, it's radical Islam or something. It's not necessarily radical Islam. It's not the same. Okay. Um, this isn't the same as Al Qaeda. It's not the same as the Islamic Jihad, or the people who bombed the Marine barracks in Lebanon, which was actually Assad's dad, Syria. Assad's dad, Hafez Assad, was behind this. People forget about this stuff. And maybe we should, maybe we should at some point, like I was saying with the situation in Syria. We have there's a former Al Qaeda affiliates who are trying to break up Al Qaeda, and I'm not like Jolani and Abu Maria and all these people. They're saying the jihad's over. They're saying, we're declaring the jihad over. There's no anti-Western jihad. There's no international jihad anymore. We need to focus on Syria. We have to focus on realistic problems. Not all this, and Al Qaeda is effectively. They're working on disbanding the whole thing. It's America can't. We should be able to do this and to do smart things, but we just can't do it. Like, it would be good to just bury the whole thing with the war on terror and all this stuff, so we don't have all these you know. I mean, I'm someone who's fought these people personally, and like. And like I totally think that we should have like I say I think even going to Iraq as revenge for 9/11 was perfectly justified. But I think it's also about time um to bury it. 'Cause we don't need to keep. We don't want we don't want to keep the taking our shoes off at the airport and all this stuff. Like, there's no real point in just dragging this thing out. So as far as Hamas goes, it's not our problem. Those are just the people who've been they've been picked on by Israel for however long. You know, there's no reason for us to. There's no reason for the U.S. to really get involved in this. You know, but I don't know. But Israel has a bit of a situation, and maybe maybe Ukraine will even figure that Hamas. You know, maybe Ukraine will say maybe we should support them. Israel will block weapons transfers to Ukraine, so maybe Ukraine can pay them back in kind. Because when you block weapons transfers, you're getting people killed, and so the Republicans and the Israelis are getting people killed in Ukraine. Like, even it's in an abstract way, but if the munitions aren't there, yeah, you're causing more people to die. You know, because there's people who figure that America has their back, and they've got the Russian army just pulverizing their cities and their homes. You know, these are civilian people. You know, you can go on about like, oh, the Ukrainian government's corrupt or something. Well, guess what? The Russians are notorious for attacking civilians. Just like a lot of other people find these tactics useful. You know, when Russia invaded Finland, they were so poor at fighting, like their tactics, that the Finns would actually ski circles around these Russians and just be killing them like it's the coolest thing to do. Like it's just the funnest thing. Like they would just ski circles around them and you'd just be picking them off. And these Russians just would, until the Russians figured they could just park their artillery right up to these Finnish cities and just pulverize them. You know, so that's the same tactics Russians do in Ukraine. Israelis are apparently totally fine with that. You know, they endorse. They tell Ukraine you need to negotiate. You know, so all we have to say to Israel is maybe you should negotiate. Maybe you should negotiate with Hamas, with the Palestinians. Maybe you should give up some of your territory. If that's what it comes into. But all told, this probably just we're just gonna see more of it because the more people are cowardly and crave peace for peace at all costs, you're just gonna get war poured right all over your head. And this is the history. If you read history books, this is how people go. When people get so soft and wimpy, it's just war is just like everywhere, everywhere. So maybe now with all this pacifistic poisoning that these dissidents and Russian agents are just pumping all this garbage into the heads of these MAGA people, Americans, and other tankies and all this sort of stuff. You know, maybe you're just gonna see a world on fire. You're just gonna because you figure, oh, I'm such a pansy, so I don't want to see World War III, so I want to just complain and say that Russia, we should just give in to all their nuclear threats and just let them get away with it. That's what you're thinking. Guess what you're gonna have more of. Mm. And you deserve it because don't do cowards deserve to live in peace? Ask yourself that. And if you have like, do the wicked people deserve to live out their days in peace? If you have some country that's like totally given to like all this evil stuff, like should peace at all costs be on your mind, or maybe the built-in remedy for just the programming, just the divine programming of the world, is the built-in remedy is war. And maybe war is where solutions and opportunities, that wouldn't be possible in peace, they start to present themselves. So, you know, there is a way out of our situation, but the way out may be through, because this is the situation that people have chosen. The Israelis have chosen this, and it looks like the Americans are like as well. You know, unfortunately, like my own, like our country as well is getting into this. You see what like the Gates debacle and this Jim. What is it? The guy he's bringing. Who knows if this guy will be like the speaker or whatever. But I guess it's just like this totally against any kind of aid, and we'll just block any kind of aid to Ukraine. We'll see if he'll block any aid to Israel, won't we? You know, we'll see. We'll see where the rhetoric starts to go. Because if this continues to escalate, and where we have more and more situations and more wars breaking out, we'll just see. And the Ukrainians are already putting their people into Africa because the Russians have people in Africa, the Wagner group, these mercenaries and stuff. And you see all this stuff with all these Africans. Well, everywhere there's if you're Ukraine, wouldn't you figure you could divert Russia out of Ukraine by starting fires in other places, places where there's not Ukrainian civilians living. Because who wants to fight a war in your own country? Like, it's way easier fighting in the foreign country where you don't. Like that's one thing. Like I was thinking, like, because people always say, like, if you care about Ukraine, you should go there and stuff. And but it's kind of irresponsible to just tell people that, especially if you're not even into it. Like, if you're such a humanitarian, then you're trying to introduce people to the battlefield who don't have the same concerns for these foreign civilians. Because, like, I'll just admit, like, in Iraq, we cared very little about, like, the lives of I mean, like, it's not like we didn't, like, save any, like, civilian lives and stuff, because we would. But if it came down to it, like, what do what do you think? How much does it matter? Like, compared to if it's your own country, where actually every civilian is worth just as much as a troop. You know what I mean? It's not like, well, we need to care more about our people than these other No, it's going to be the same concern. Actually, and actually, the greater concern is going to be for your own civilians. So it looks like the Ukrainians could just turn this more global and can draw Russian resources out. Russia's already got to pour everything in. They put their 2024 budget. They plan like 30%. It's like like about 30%, like 29 something percent of their budget is going to their military for the war. So they're cutting everything across the board. For all this, they're going all in. They don't have the same. They're not pumping their people. Russians aren't pumping their people with pacifistic propaganda. The Russian Israeli propaganda machine is going to be pumping the pacifism into the American people. But let's see if that works out for Israel. Maybe it will, because I wouldn't be surprised if they actually even pull it off. If the Republicans just go totally Zionist, like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if they start saying that they should take the funding that would have went to Ukraine, and they'll try to put it to they'll try to give it to Israel. I wouldn't put it past these people, because these are hardcore Zionists. But this is a developing situation. Like, I've been, like, just watching and listening to this stuff, like, up until I just figured I'd make a quick video. So, I mean, for all I know, by the time I start looking into this stuff, there could be a whole other thing going on. Like I seen like a Palestinian on like a glider. It's like with with like the parachute and like the motorized like gyrocopter. Like, and he's like he's like riding this glider into Israel, like, in this attack. It just looks like there's just Hamas just raging, and just Blitz just coming from at it from all directions, and on motorcycles and trucks and all this stuff. And that they figured they could just introduce these kind of quick, fast moving guys with just like moving lightly and just going right into residential neighborhoods and stuff, where they've just caught the IDF with their pants down. You know, but it's not our problem. Israel could have, like, they, there's a lot they could have done. You know, that could have made where we could have said that they're a true friend, but they're just not. Like, like if they were, I'd say we'd ought to back them up, like, right now, for sure. But they're not. Like, they're just not. So they should have to deal with it no matter what. Like, however much this blows up, or they can negotiate. And maybe that's what it'll. Because it's not like all Israelis are like they're not all nuts, or and whatever it is with the Netanyahu, like, his thing, because Netanyahu's all about Russia, Assad, all these people. you know but they've managed to get all these jackasses in there, and then they're just the most arrogant people, and so they're gonna reap the consequences. you know like I say, if anyone just brings it up, oh well. Not that it's a great thing, but it's and like I say, in the sense of what they've done, and Israel's been a part of this because they're influencing this. But Zionists like Gates and stuff, what they've done to Ukraine, I mean, what can we do for Israel now? And what could we do for them? What can we do for these people, where they'll do everything to help the barbarian, to just help Europe get overrun with orcs, from straight from the Putin um, thing. Anyhow, we'll see where this goes. I'm sure this will just keep getting interesting. I mean, I was just I don't know. I was just kind of I've been kind of thinking for a while that this could maybe pop off in the Israel direction, and so far it looks like it really is. This looks like Hamas has really got it together and are just there. I mean, it looks like they're just charging. So we'll just see where it goes. Keep posted. All right.